Welcome to Secure Wi-Fi, a show where we discuss Wi-Fi security threats that even my mom could understand, and how to keep yourself safe while out and about in the real world, while having a little fun along the way. I'm Ryan Orsi, and today we'll discuss the anatomy of a Wi-Fi hack. We'll be talking about which Wi-Fi security threats you should be most concerned about, how they go down, and what makes up a Wi-Fi hacker. Now, in the modern world, the general public is addicted to Wi-Fi. In fact, Wi-Fi usage has grown 888% since 2013, and we're on track to exceed 540 million public Wi-Fi hotspots by 2021. If we look at Cisco's VNI report, it's clear that Wi-Fi is the #1 way that people are connecting to the internet. In fact, 60% of us connect to the internet over Wi-Fi, 20% over wired, and 20% over cellular. Now, every time I deliver these stats, the one shocker is that cellular is not the #1. And here's why. Even though every one of us has a mobile phone and a data plan, Mother Nature's tapped out. All the cell carriers have spent billions for the legal rights to send and receive invisible ones and zeros on certain frequency spectrum, and they plain and simply ran out of frequency to buy. They may have run out of spectrum to supply us, but our insatiable demand for dancing cat videos on YouTube continues to rise, leaving the carriers with just one option to satisfy the demand: Wi-Fi. You may not realize it, but your cellular connections are being handed over to Wi-Fi while you're at the shopping mall, just in order to satisfy this demand. According to the Wi-Fi Alliance, there are over 8 billion Wi-Fi devices on the planet today. Compare that to the 7 billion people on the planet, and it blows the mind. By 2025, they predict the number of devices to grow to 12 billion. And the majority of these devices will be connecting to public hotspots that you and I enjoy in our everyday lives. So whether you know it or not, you're connecting to public Wi-Fi. To help illustrate our addiction to Wi-Fi, I decided to hit the streets of Seattle and grab 4 completely random contestants to play a little game I've invented called Never Have I Ever while connected to public Wi-Fi. The rules are simple. I have 3 questions. I'll ask these contestants, and they'll use their mobile phones connected to WatchGuard's Wi-Fi cloud-enabled access points at the WatchGuard studio to respond yes or no. Contestants, are you ready? All right, question number 1. Never have I ever, while connected to public Wi-Fi, shopped with my credit card online. Question number 2. Never have I ever, while connected to public Wi-Fi, paid my bills online. Question number 3. Never have I ever, while connected to public Wi-Fi, logged into my bank, investments, or payroll account. All right, let's take a look at how the contestants did.
Great job.
Well done, Bryce. You truly are living a life of safety and security, but man, do I feel bad for you. You're missing out on all the freedoms that the rest of us risk takers have while connecting to public Wi-Fi. Jenna, Rachel, Adam, what the hell's wrong with you? Haven't you all been taught from such a young age not to do these things on public Wi-Fi? Have fun monitoring those bank accounts, guys, because it's only a matter of time before they get hacked. You must not like money too much. Sounds like you're a good customer prospect for a ruckus hotspot. Okay, Bryce, you're human, you have a pulse. Obviously, you pay your bills. Where do you pay your bills?
Oh, at home, or while on a 4G cellular connection.
Why do you feel safe there?
Because I'm afraid of being hacked while connected to Wi-Fi. And I know that it can't happen while I'm at home or on a cellular connection. And I'm not going to be another statistic. I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to live my life as a millennial with strong network morals.
Okay then, thank you, Bryce.
Wait, there's so much more.
Yes, there is, Bryce. Yes, there is. When I talk to people about what they think Wi-Fi security is, they think of 1, maybe 2 things. Number 1, they think Wi-Fi security is that little padlock icon shown next to a Wi-Fi network, or they think it's using a VPN client over the Wi-Fi. Now, these are both totally bogus. Putting a password of the day on a Wi-Fi network can be easily sniffed, decrypted, with accessible GPU accelerators. YouTube teaches you how to do this, and you can get it decrypted for a few bucks on the dark web. Using a VPN client doesn't pass the My Mom Can Do It tests. For example, She has no idea what the letters VPN even stand for.
Valentine Party Network. I have no idea what VPN is.
So how can we expect that to be a global security solution for Wi-Fi? Secure Wi-Fi is dealing with the security at the infrastructure level. It's not relying on people's technical savviness to download software, configure client settings, or waiting for the millions of Wi-Fi clients to somehow come up with a globally standardized solution. Wi-Fi infrastructure, what is that? Well, those are access points. And secure Wi-Fi means to secure the airspace around you with these access points, protecting you from low-level attacks that lead to much higher-level attacks and compromised systems. Solving the security problem at the infrastructure level means that it passes the My Mom Can Do It test, because she literally has to do nothing to keep herself safe. Now, I know I went a little deep on you there, and I promise we're going to clarify all this in just a minute. Hang with me. At the simplest level, defending your airspace, it's not science fiction, I promise. It's also the subject of our next episode. It means using access points and their radios to scan continuously for rogue access points, man-in-the-middle attacks, and pineapples. Not the fruit, the hacking tool. But we'll get into that later with WatchGuard's very own Patrick Fletcher. Wi-Fi is the #1 way that people are connecting to the internet, making it more popular than both cellular and wired connections. Secure Wi-Fi is dealing with security at the infrastructure level, not just relying on users' technical savviness. Defending your airspace means using APs and their radios to scan continuously for threats. Now, all this talk about Wi-Fi is making me hungry. Let's talk about one of my favorite foods, 7-layer bean dip. It's a delicious treat with 7 layers, conveniently enough, the same number of layers as the OSI model. Now, the OSI model describes the process for how your dancing cat videos get to your phone. And it's going to help me explain the difference between low-layer Wi-Fi attacks versus high-layer application attacks. Let's take this layer by layer. Layer 1, the physical layer, or beans, defines the process for sending ones and zeros as photons over the air or electrons on a wire. Layer 2, the data link layer, or sour cream, defines the process for error correction when data gets scrambled in transmission. Layer 3, the network layer, or guacamole, is where packets come in and the process for routing them and controlling where they go is put in place. Layer 4, the transport layer, or salsa, ensures that all packets are received in the right sequence with no losses or duplication. Layer 5, the session layer, or cheese, allows programs to communicate to each other across different ports. Layer 6, the presentation layer, or olives, is also known as the syntax layer, and it formats the data for the right encryption or character code to be presented for graphical display. Layer 7, the application layer, our lettuce. It is known as the end user layer. This is where all the fun happens. This is where actual programs on our phones and computers that we interact with. The majority of news that you see out there in the wild has been covering breaches that are found at this very, very top lettuce layer. They're just easier to detect. Wi-Fi attacks happen at a much lower layer, all the way down to layer 2, to our sour cream. These are much harder to detect and actually typically go undetected because the attackers are utilizing standard IEEE protocols to launch these attacks. So on the surface, it looks like no harm is being done. For example, you've heard the term rogue access point. This is an evildoer just firing up an access point and tricking people to connect to it, so becoming the man in the middle. Their rogue access point broadcasts names like coffee shop Wi-Fi, airport Wi-Fi, and all of your smart gadgets. They don't know any better. They're actually pretty dumb. Not people, the devices. They're tricked into connecting to these evildoers. They don't know any better. It looks like coffee shop Wi-Fi. So while you innocently surf the internet, the man in the middle eavesdrops on everything. I know what you might be thinking by now. What gives? All you hear about are Yahoo breaches, Ashley Madison breaches, Russia hacking the election, but you never hear on the news that someone got their Gmail account password or bank account credentials stolen on a public Wi-Fi hotspot. You're probably asking yourself, Ryan, are you just fear-mongering me? Absolutely not. I don't play that way. I promise you, Wi-Fi attacks happen out there every single day. The attacks are so low level and they're really easy to perform without getting caught. The reason you don't hear about these Wi-Fi attacks is primarily because the access point vendor community out there hasn't really had a good solution to the problem so far. So it's not exactly something they want everyone talking about. And this gets on a subject which we'll cover in our next webinar called Wireless Intrusion Prevention Systems. The OSI, or Open Systems Interconnection model, divides the process of communication between two endpoints in a telecommunication network into 7 groups or functions, or layers. Wi-Fi attacks occur at one of the lowest layers, so we don't usually hear about them in the news. MITM, or man-in-the-middle attacks, are among the most popular low-level attacks that usually go undetected. Let's move on to our next subject. What does the profile of a Wi-Fi hacker look like? Who are these people? Now do me a favor, picture in your mind's eye the stereotypical hacker that you've been taught by Hollywood, magazines, you name it. Crumple that into a nice little ball, drag it to your recycle bin, because anybody can be a Wi-Fi hacker. So here to help put a face to a Wi-Fi hacker is our very own Patrick Fletcher from our sales team at WatchGuard. Patrick, thanks for joining. Let me start by addressing the obvious elephant in the room. I'm sure at this point the audience is a little bit skeptical that you don't have all this coding experience as a Wi-Fi hacker. So let me ask you a few qualifying questions. Do you have a computer science degree?
No, I do not have a computer science degree.
Have you ever done any coding in your spare time?
No, I have not done any coding in my spare time.
Don't suppose you have a secret love for C compilers, do you?
No, I don't have any passion whatsoever for whatever you just said.
Great. Sounds qualified to me, Patrick. Take it away.
Thank you, Ryan, for the introduction. Like he said, and like I reiterated, I don't know anything about coding or hacking or scripting or anything of that matter. But I do know how easy it is to hack into an open Wi-Fi network with the most basic of tools. And we can get into that, and I'll tell you what kind of tools I would use if just I was trying to mess with my friends, if you will. Obviously, you can take it to another level. I'm not. I just want to show you how easy it is. So you're probably wondering, how easy is it to fall victim to a man-in-the-middle attack or a karma attack? Well, you still can 10 years later. This attack has been around for about that long or even a little bit longer. And it's pretty straightforward type of process. And so first and foremost, before I get into my demo and what I would use, is kind of give you kind of brief overview of what a karma attack is. A karma attack is essentially when a hacker targets a client that's sending out these IEEE standard beacons out in the wild, determine which wireless networks are nearby. Okay, and that's what he's going to try to focus on. Now, to better illustrate this, we need to take a look at a couple scenarios. So the first scenario, which I want to go ahead and discuss, and which I can show you here with this illustration, is what is not vulnerable to an attack. So what's not vulnerable to attack, as you can see, we have a client on one side and we have a authorized access point on another. Now, at this point, this client, which is authorized, is sending out these periodic beacons saying, hey, I am the coffee shop, or I am my business Wi-Fi, or what have you, or my home Wi-Fi. Well, the client says, oh, I know you, I authenticated to you before. So it connects to it, right? They put in their credentials. This is past a layer 2 type of authentication, right? What the karma attack really focuses on is layer 1, layer 2 before authentication. So the second type of illustration, which I want to show to you, is what is vulnerable to an attack. So same type of illustration, what we're looking for. On the left-hand side, you got the client. On the right-hand side, you got the access point. This time, it's rogue. It's going to be, actually, it's going to be a pineapple, which I'm going to explain here in a few minutes. But right now, it's a rogue access point. Now, in this scenario, the client is saying, hey, I'm looking for so-and-so. And what I mean by that, your phone, your laptop, it's always beaconing out. Are you there? Are you there? Where are you, right? It's connected to different unencrypted SSIDs, throughout its lifetime, and it saves it. As smart as we are, these phones and laptops are kind of stupid, right? And I'm just trying to put it out there. So when it saves it, and so it's looking for this. Now this rogue access point says, sure, I'm the coffee shop. Sure, I'm WatchGuard's Wi-Fi. Connect to me. And with the laptop or phone not knowing any better, it's going to connect to it. Boom, you're in the middle of a man in the middle of attack or a karma attack. So boom, and essentially you're sitting in the middle. You're controlling the access the client has to the internet, kind of either whether that's spying or trying to steal their information, credit cards. Who checks their bank statements or any 401k at a Starbucks? Not many people, but if anyone was dumb enough to do it, man, they're susceptible to that guy performing this type of attack. So those are the two illustrations which I wanted to show you. What is vulnerable, what's not vulnerable.
Wi-Fi hacking is easier than ever before, and the tools are widely available. Wi-Fi Pineapple are inexpensive honeypots that allow users to carry out man-in-the-middle attacks. Connected clients' traffic go through the attacker, enabling them to pull any number of tricks. Prevention is key, and hands-free automated WIPS, or wireless intrusion prevention system, is best. Tune in to next week's webinar for a deep dive into prevention methods, defending your airspace, and more.
My next step is kind of show you exactly what I would use, the tools I would use to perform these type of attacks. Now, like I said, this is for open SSID networks, okay? So now, I'm not doing anything really too malicious, so let's kind of just jump into it and show you exactly what I do to my friends, because that's essentially what I'm doing. All right, so let's pull up the interface. If I can show you a couple illustrations here, we'll kind of walk you through just some basic attacks, very high level. So we're going to go ahead, plug it in, authenticate. Now, like I mentioned, these Pineapple is available actually in two forms. So this is the type of attack what you're seeing probably right behind me. You can buy it a $100 mobile version, take it on the go, on the bus, ready to connect to a local hotspot, you're ready to rock and roll. Or you can buy a little bit more robust one for $200, depending upon the radius in which you want to affect, okay? So those are the two types of different versions which you can purchase, kind of a hackers for dummies. That's how I like to describe it. You see those Excels for dummies, kind of the same thing, this Pineapple. So all right, so now we're going to authenticate. We're logging in. Okay, we're typing in our credentials. You just plug this into the network, plug it into your computer via USB, okay, and you authenticate. Now, what am I seeing, Patrick? So the first thing I want to show you, like I said, high level, we're going to click on the left-hand side, you'll see PineAP. So when we click on PineAP, what are we seeing here? Well, pretty much we're going to enable our Karma attack on this particular page. As you can see, there's boxes that I can point and click, rock and roll within a few minutes. It's very simple. And on the right-hand side, you see collected SSIDs. Now this is important, kind of harking back to what I talked about in the very beginning. Your phone, whether you're walking around in an airport, walking through a Starbucks, it's constantly beacon around. It's constantly asking, are you there? Are you there? Because it's connected to all these networks in its lifetime, and it's constantly seeking out a network that it knows. And what the Wi-Fi Pineapple is doing is collecting those right here on the side. It's determining, it might use one of those to go ahead and portray or carry out this attack. Because like I said, phones, laptops, not smart. Pineapple, so far a little bit smarter. It's going to go ahead and take advantage of you in that regard, okay? So we're clicking on these boxes. We turn on the Pineapp daemon. We're ready to rock and roll, and the attack is now on. So, okay, now we're going to log out of that. We're going to go back to the home page. As you're going to see on the left-hand side, there's still a multitude of tabs. We're going to go ahead and set up a couple modules. We can go in depth and get carried away. We're not doing that. We're just going to make it quite simple and show you how I would go ahead and mess with my friends if I wanted to on a weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this module over here, which is modules. Now this is third-party plugins, ready, pre-configured, ready to rock and roll. What the one I really want, or actually, excuse me, the two I want to go over, first is random roll. Now this one, as you can see from this demonstration, after we click in on it, you're seeing all these different GIFs or GIFs, however you pronounce it, to each his own. You can see a dancing banana, Afro circus, and a multitude of different type of things you can pick, which kind of is pretty cool. So like I talked to you about, you're now the man in the middle using this Pineapple. So I'm controlling the internet access, kind of creepy, right? So what the thing is, now if this person, this client is connected to the app or the Pineapple, essentially this type of image will populate and will play a soundtrack, and they won't know what's going on, right? They'll, oh, something's wrong with my phone, I need to take it in, get a new one, or what have you, or maybe I have a virus on my phone. Well, no, it's me in the next room just kind of messing with you and laughing a little bit. Like I said, just messing with my friends on this. So that's one of the modules. The second module I'd like to talk about, now this gets even a little bit more kind of creepy because it's called DWAL, so we're going to go ahead and click back out, click back on this particular tab. As we click in, what do you notice here? On the right-hand side, we see images. On the left-hand side, you see collected URLs, cookies, and so forth. So essentially, you're spying on people going to different websites. Oh, your friend went to Instagram. I'm looking at all the pictures she's looking at, right? That's not good for any relationship, but hey, this is something you can do, right? So these are, look how easy that was. I turned the sucker on, I turned on the Pine AP Karma attack, and I went to a couple modules I downloaded, pre-configured, and I'm rocking and rolling. I'm moving quick and heavy, right? And I didn't even get into really technical aspects of the Wi-Fi Pineapple. I know Ryan might be able to go into certain different aspects, like more in-depth type of attacks, like SSL stripping, where you can really get carried away and start stealing sensitive data, your 401k, passwords, you name it. So you can get as crazy as you want to, but I'm just showing you, hey, I have no background in this, but I was able to do this in a matter of minutes, and I paid $99. That's it, completely legal, online. Now, what I would recommend in this type of scenario is, so how do I prevent myself from these type of attacks? Well, you need to utilize a WIP solution, preferably one that's hands-free and fully automated, like WatchGuard Technologies Secure Wi-Fi Cloud. There's a lot of different variables out there in WIP solutions, but they require constant fine-tuning and monitoring. So this is something I would definitely take a look into if I were you. So I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and back to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Patrick. I am properly scared to death. What Patrick just told us about the basics of all low-level Wi-Fi attacks is what I've been talking about during today's episode. Once somebody becomes a man in the middle, that's when the real fun begins with all the higher level attacks. For example, there's an attack known as SSL strip with HSTS bypass. Now this one gets a little dark and spooky, so parents, if there's any young children nearby, I recommend you usher them out of the room. An SSL strip attack involves something very simple, like a laptop or even an Android phone, and the attacker sits inside, say, a coffee shop, and gets a victim to connect to them. Now the attacker's the man in the middle, processing all traffic in and out of the victim's device, and they modify every single web URL to replace HTTPS, which is encrypted, with HTTP, which is plain text. The victim has no idea this is happening. It's all done in the background. The web browser is also tricked. It's supposed to demand HTTPS for secure connections. That's what HSTS really is. But SSL strip completely bypasses this security. So everyone's username, passwords, credit card numbers, whatever you're typing into a web form, they're actually sent over plain text and visible by the man in the middle. So imagine this, you're in your favorite coffee shop, enjoying your double flat white with cinnamon sprinkles on top, and you're enjoying the Wi-Fi connection there. You browse to paypal.com to send your buddy money for that latest Nintendo video game you've had your eye on for quite a while. And the man in the middle adds 2 extra W's to the URL, www.paypal.com. Now this is actually a completely bogus URL, but it doesn't matter to the man in the middle. They have a DNS server running there, and they can resolve that. So while you think you're typing your PayPal username and password into a real paypal.com website, you're actually typing it right into the man in the middle's hands. This has been Secure Wi-Fi with me, Ryan Orsi, a series where we discuss Wi-Fi security topics in ways that even my mom can understand. Make sure to check us out on social, follow me on Twitter, and learn more at watchguard.com/Wi-Fi. And don't forget to sign up and tune in to the next episode. Okay, Mom, so the hackers of the world want to hear from you, especially the ones that stole your credit card and debit card. What do you want to tell these hackers?
That they are just really, really low life, and how dare them. And if they've got that much smarts and they're really intelligent, why don't they use it for doing something good instead of something evil? Because we're sick of it.
Yeah.
I'm
with you, Mom.
That's ridiculous.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. All right. Well said, Mom. And I love you. Thanks for the time. Say hi to Dad. Is he hiding out in the back there, Dad?
Yeah, will do. Okay. We'll see you soon, hon.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.